After I graduated from Harvard, uh, like I was anticipating, I was immediately recruited uh, from Montgomery County, Maryland, while I was still in Boston. Got a phone call. I applied for a job as an urban designer for the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission in Montgomery County, Maryland, for a position of what they call a senior urban designer. And I accepted that position. I mean, I just submitted my name and they said, "You're hired." And they gave me a starting date. So I moved from Boston to Silver Spring, Maryland, which is where they were headquartered. And being an urban designer, first of all, I was the first and only Black urban designer they had ever had at the commission. And my assignment was to do design plans for planned communities in Montgomery County, whether it was the housing designs and or commercial areas in Montgomery County, Maryland, which is a very upscale, very upper middle class county. From that, I worked and got promoted to what they call principal urban designer. And I worked there maybe 3 or 4 years. And my first challenge, if you will, was because they had so few Black anything professionals. They had a standard, which is if you finish a master plan, do a design plan for a master plan, you qualify for a promotion. And the director of planning was also an architect, and he was from Penn State, graduated from Penn State. But initially, he didn't grant my promotion. So I had to go to his office, file a complaint, and challenge him that I should be promoted. And I had a meeting in his office, and he said, "Well, what do you want?" I said, "I want what I deserve, which is a promotion, because I've done what every other uh, person that's been promoted to a next level has done. I've completed a master plan." And we debated for a while, but he eventually granted me my promotion. Now, I worked in Montgomery County for about 8 or 9 years, and I got my promotion. Then I was recruited again to work for the District of Columbia Office of Planning as chief of, well, as a planner. Then I eventually got promoted to chief of urban design for the city of Washington, D.C. And I don't think I had my promotion longer than 6 months when I resigned the commission and went to the DC government at a higher pay with more responsibilities, where I was in charge of urban design. I worked in Montgomery County twice. The first time was for about 6 to 8 years in the planning department. I came back later and worked as a division chief in the Department of Parks for another 6 to 8 years. So altogether, I worked in Montgomery County for about 12 years before I retired. In DC, I worked for the DC Planning Office as they had 8 different wards or communities. I was what was called the Ward 8 planner, which was far southeast in the Anacostia area. Then they promoted me to chief of all neighborhood planning for the District of Columbia. And then I became division chief for not only all neighborhood planning, but also all downtown planning for the whole city. And I co-authored and authored the District of Columbia's first adopted comprehensive plan, from which I received a certificate of appreciation from then Mayor Marion Barry, which I have today. When I was in DC, I got recruited again because of my reputation of doing good work. I was recruited by a real estate law firm to leave DC government and work for what's called a boutique law firm, who did a lot of work for the Oliver Carr real estate development company. And at that time, downtown Washington was undergoing a major renovation, and they were doing a lot of new office buildings. And because of my knowledge of knowing the development policy of the District of Columbia and the regulations for governing how developments could be approved, I was recruited to be director of real estate for this law firm. And I worked there for 3 years as director of real estate development. And at the end of that 3 years, unfortunately, there was a downturn in the economic or real estate market. So they had to let me go. And then I formed my own real estate consulting firm called Development Services. And I consulted on my own using the clients that the real estate company had assigned me to. They had enough faith in me to hire me to work for them for their projects. So I did that. And from there, I was recruited again to head up a larger real estate development company called Development Dominion. Development Dominion was myself and another guy where we decided to submit an unsolicited proposal for a 125,000 square foot shopping center in Southeast Washington. We partnered because we didn't have the money. We were a small minority firm. And we decided to see if we can find a majority partner who would financially support us. And I found a Atlanta-based real estate development company called Regent Partners in Atlanta. And I sent them a letter, and they agreed to partner with us and subsidize our bid for a shopping center. And they had done real estate development not only all across Atlanta, but all across the country. So with their reputation and financial backing, we thought we had a good partnership. So we submitted an unsolicited proposal to the District of Columbia to have us be selected to do that shopping center. And we also interacted with the local community, and I used my relationship as being a former planner in that area to get community support, because we were not only doing a shopping center, we're also creating jobs, opportunities for the local residents. We got their support, we got council support. Unfortunately, we didn't get that project because the mayor at the time had a stronger relationship with a local Ward 8-based developer who financially supported his campaign to run for mayor. So that was my first major lesson. And even though we had applied for, and were awarded because of the way we were planning to do the development, a HUD grant and loan, like for $150 million, we had that behind us, but we didn't get the project. So that was a lesson hard learned. And then after that, I was recruited once again to come back to Montgomery County to be chief of park development in the Department of Parks with the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. And that was rather interesting because during that time, there was major charges of racial discrimination of the commission. And the NAACP was actually boycotting and in front of the headquarters building when I got a call from one of my colleagues I used to work with to apply for this division chief position. And when I was interviewed, I later found out that it was not only my former colleague that interviewed me, it was also the director of the Parks Department, who I'd never met before, and a Black gentleman who I later found out was the first Black county council member, who later became the first Black county executive, and they approved me for that position. And I've also received a certificate of appreciation from the county executive award as well. Now, during my tenure, which again was like 12 years there, I had a staff, I managed a staff of about 50 people. I had architects, landscape architects, civil engineers, um, construction inspectors, construction managers, procurement administrators, um, land surveyors, and property management acquisition people that bought parkland. And I was responsible for a capital improvements program worth somewhere in the range of $72 million to renovate and develop new parks, playgrounds, tennis courts, uh, restoration of historic buildings, and the like, ice rinks, all that type of thing. So I did that for a long time, and I retired in June of 2010. I was awarded by the American Institute of Architects a certificate of appreciation of assisting the local Washington, D.C. chapter in managing a local convention of the American Institute of Architects called AIA in Washington, D.C. So I have a letter of appreciation from them. I was inducted into what's called the George Washington chapter of Lambda Alpha, which is an honorary land economics society. I'm also a member of the Washington, D.C. and now the Fort Lauderdale Harvard Club. So I have memberships in those as well.